they put the dead. Oh, they're trying to fool. The police run in the shadows, think they're getting away, 'cause they make the rules. You're not gonna pull.
My name's Andy Miles.
Andy Miles. Andy, I'll give you my YouTube channel afterwards. If you're not happy with it, I'll delete it in front of you. So first, could I start by asking you, do you think your thoughts are your own thoughts?
Yes, I have an independent mind.
Do you think you can be influenced in any way?
They are influenced strongly, because everybody's thoughts are influenced. They've been influenced by my upbringing, my education and my experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So would it be right in saying that all thought is conditioned then? Would you agree with that?
It's culturally conditioned. It can't be anything else because we live within a human culture.
Yeah. So would you say that the thoughts are conditioned rather than 100% originally your own?
They can never be 100% originally your own because they have to come from somewhere. It's rather like dreaming. I'm reliably informed that although I'm not an expert, that you can't dream something that you haven't seen in a movie or experienced or whatever. Well, my understanding also is that the way your thinking is conditioned is in the same fashion. You experience things, you see things, and it shapes your thought. It's bound to.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I usually ask people is, can you think about something you know absolutely nothing about? And of course you can.
I try very hard to say when I'm asked about something that I don't know anything about, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah.
And you can't actually think about anything you don't know about.
Absolutely.
I mean, if somebody said to me, talk to me about public transport in Rwanda, I wouldn't be able to.
No, but you already know about public transport though.
I know about public transport, I know about it in other places, and I might...
And you know of Rwanda?
I know of the existence of Rwanda, but I've never been there. I've never seen its public transport. I have no expertise and no knowledge whatsoever. I could make some suppositions, but all that would be, frankly, a waste of time for anybody who wanted to know about public transport in Rwanda.
Yeah, I was thinking more of a concept you knew nothing about or even existed.
Okay, give me one.
Well, one I don't know about, so I couldn't think about it, could I? If I didn't know absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
A dimension or something, you know.
That's it. If you don't know about it, how can you think about it?
So all thought is actually conditioned, you know. All thought comes from already existing thought and probably changes it or evolves into something different.
I was sort of, not a theory, but a speculation in this area that the human species actually evolves not just in the traditional scientific fashion for a species, which is that you evolve, then there's mutation, and you physically evolve again. So you've got Lucy in East Africa, who is the first human, and then her descendants are all humans. Well, I think that you get the same kind of evolution within humans, because humans are a species with consciousness. They're not the only species with consciousness, but consciousness depends on time, and you build up a library of knowledge, and
which is experience.
Knowledge is experience and concepts and ideas and knowledge, and that grows and grows and grows, and you get new thinking. You know, when you pass your PhD, it's supposed to be completely new research that nobody's ever done before. It's supposed to add to the sum of human knowledge. Well, okay, that corpus of knowledge has become utterly vast. And keeps getting bigger. But again, you know, it all comes from somewhere. You can trace it back down the evolutionary tree of human thought.
Could I ask you about that? Because I'm not convinced by evolution. I'm not religious, by the way. I'm not convinced by either. Or I feel it's a wee bit like the illusion of politics, the left and the right. So I think it's somewhere, the truth is somewhere else. But how can we be sure we know we've been told the truth about the world, like evolution? How can we be sure?
You can't. I'm a child of Edinburgh. My family have been here for generations. My grandfather used to pitch and putt Bruntsfield Links every day because he's lived just down the road in Tollcross. And I've been influenced by the ideas that come through Scottish life, and one of the principal ones is scepticism. And I define myself philosophically as a sceptic. So science...
The Enlightenment area of Edinburgh was very big.
Yeah. Science is a theory. It's not a fact.
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to go through the process of being proven and proven again, and it can change, and it goes through exactly that evolutionary path that I'm talking about. But the fundamentals, we still don't know about it.
Yeah.
I mean, they keep discovering more and more and more. Nobody knew, 50 years about dark matter. I still know sweet Fanny Adams about dark matter, but I know some of the theory about it.
But I would ask you something on that now. If I was a bit sceptical of dark matter, how could they convince me that it actually existed? I'm saying, where is the evidence? So how could they prove to me that dark matter exists?
Start going in and you start researching and you start searching through the fund of human knowledge.
But it wouldn't be primary first-hand accounts or examples. I'd have to adopt.
No, we're way past the point where everybody can know everything.
Having said that, then what I'm taking on board is secondary knowledge.
Yes.
It's not primary knowledge for myself that I can touch you and see you're real.
Yes.
So it's like a belief because I have to adopt it.
Yes, except it's
I have to believe it exists.
It's not a belief.
All right. What would
because
you
you can give a proof. Now the proof is a proof as in a mathematical proof.
A self-evident truth sort of.
Yeah.
Or a mathematical proof.
Well, a mathematical proof is going to be something that is perfect
But
within the field of mathematics. Skepticism might tell you that actually mathematics is not something that's to be real.
Yeah, my understanding of mathematics is a language that helps you explain something.
Yes.
It doesn't prove something exists in nature.
Yeah.
It's not proof, but it's an explanation of how something works.
No, I used it as an analogy. You can have a mathematical proof, you can have a scientific proof. I would tend to accept these things by and large. I don't go through life doubting everything.
No, I think most of us do,
Yeah.
sort of by and large, except the specialists that we don't know anything about.
But I think you should keep a sceptical eye, and that's particularly important in the day of Donald Trump and fake news and Brexit and lies and post-truth.
Absolutely. In a world of propaganda, deceit, lies, spin, of course you've got to be sceptical.
Yeah.
Now I'm going into a bit bigger subject here and going to see how accepting you are of it without any evidence, or are you sceptical? Could I ask you what shape do you think the Earth is?
I'm of the view that the Earth is probably a globe.
Yeah, probably.
It's a ball.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain it's a ball.
I could ask you why.
I would accept it's a ball.
Yeah. I did for most of my life. Could I ask you what informs you that you accept that it's a ball?
Right. It's the cosmology with which I view the world.
Right.
Last year I was in Egypt, and I watched their cosmological writings, their sacred writings on the temple walls very carefully. Quite interested in ancient history, so I've seen it in other places at other times. I've seen the what they were using to measure the cosmos. They didn't know the Earth was round.
Yeah.
They had no proof that the Earth was round. That came later with the Greeks, and they wrote different things in their writings. Then later I've been to the 16th century observatories of the emperors of the the emperors in India, in Delhi, the Mughal emperors, and they have vast devices put so that they could measure the sun and the moon and the cosmos.
Yeah, let's go.
I mean, they had it so that they could actually predict the future, which achieves my complete nonsense. I mean, I don't believe in astrology, but I do accept astronomy.
Yeah.
So I look at the moon and I see it's round, and I don't think because it's only completely round at full moon, but not when it's a new moon, that it's not actually globular.
Can you tell us a sphere though?
I'm not going to attempt to prove it to you. I'm going to refer you to somebody who's going to be able to do it with scientific expertise. I'm not claiming to be a cosmologist, but we all have a cosmology.
Yeah, but then whatever I find is going to be second-hand information, isn't it?
Yes.
So I can't verify it for myself.
No, I can't verify it either because I can't go there. And even if I could, would I be able to accept the evidence of my eyes as I flew round it that it was globular? Well, I might.
At least you can decide for yourself, though.
Yeah.
So again, that is second-hand information. So I have to have a leap of faith that what I've been told about it is true from the experts.
Yes.
But what
so you're searching for truth?
Yes. Now,
okay, that's fine. I'm searching for truth too.
Then should I 100% believe that if I'm searching for truth without any evidence for myself? Should I? How do I know that's truth if I'm just accepting somebody else's word?
Well, as I say, you don't, but go to an expert and then you've got to learn about it and find out whether you can actually accept what the expert says or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose I did that for most of my life, but it's still secondary information. Now,
it's always going to be.
Yeah, but I put it to you through natural science. We can find out that the Earth is not a spinning ball that we've been told it is.
Okay, try me.
Okay. Do you believe ships go over the curvature of the Earth on the horizon when they go out of view?
I'm told that they do.
Yeah.
I've witnessed things disappearing over the horizon at sea.
Yeah. Well, natural observation and natural science is when you go and conduct an experiment for yourself rather than believing what somebody else tells you. Now, you can take a zoom camera or a normal zoom or even a telescope. Now, I've gone down to the beach with a friend and we can just barely see a ship. It's so slight. And we're both saying, yeah, it looks like it's going over the curvature. So I said to my friend, well, have a look through this. And we zoom in and the bottom of the hull reappears, the whole of the boat. Now, that just proves that in that example, in that position there, it's not going over the curvature.
But in that example, that's a static example. How long does it last, your observation of the boat?
Forever. I can record it for an hour and it's going along the horizon.
So if you take a ship out on the sea and you put your camera on it and you keep it there, the ship will never disappear.
No, it will, because it's a matter of perspective. It goes out of your perspective. Like, say I put a.
You see, the here is why I'm not a mathematician. I'm a generalist.
But you're a natural observer of life, though, and nature.
Yeah.
And the behaviour of water.
Yeah, but the ship disappears. I'm left to decide whether it's going over the curvature of the Earth or whether it's going out somehow of the technical capacity of your camera.
Yeah.
I don't know about your camera either. I don't know about electricity when it boils down to it.
I know, but
I know that it puts the fire on at home.
Yes, yeah. I know we can't actually see that. But with a ship, everybody's class has gone over the horizon. Then you can prove at that point it's not going over the horizon because it zooms back into.
Yeah, I've got a fairly high percentage of certainty that the ship is going over the horizon, and I've got a fairly certain percentage that the world is globular.
Absolutely. And I'm just seeing how open you are to suggest that perhaps what you think is not true.
I'm very sceptical.
But
but
it's a healthy place to be.
The very sceptical me is. You know, as I say, I'm not going to say because I don't know how electricity works means that I can't guarantee that my fire is going to come on. I know a certain amount. We all only know a certain amount. You can't know everything.
No, absolutely. So, Andy, when you're first told that you're living on this ball, were you sceptical about that? And have you been sceptical since? About living on a...
No, when I was first told about living on this ball, I was a child, and scepticism grew with age.
So, as you grew with age, did you seriously question it or be sceptical about living on a spinning ball with water on it?
As I grew with age, I learned more. I learned more scepticism alongside more which I, generally speaking, 99.99999 accept as fact. I accept 99.9% as fact that tree exists. I could be wrong, but it's
you can touch it, you can smell it.
Yeah, the thing has disappeared to a philosophical extent.
Yeah, but in practical terms, you and I can go and verify that exists.
Yeah, I've got 5 senses like everybody else.
Yeah. So it becomes almost a self-evident truth that tree exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know philosophically that you can argue that it doesn't.
Yeah. We can argue, but then you'd have to have some evidence to philosophically say that, rather than just a theory. And most of it is theory.
You're at the very edge there of where I will accept something as a fact.
Yes. Yeah. I think we all do. I think that's how we verify facts.
Yeah.
And there's so many things I can verify that we're not on a magical spinning ball of water. If you look at the behaviour of water, it always finds its own level.
Yeah.
They tell us Earth is made up of 70% water, which is flat level.
Yeah.
Now 70% on a ball, to me that's ridiculous. And as I've got older, it's absolutely insane to believe that I'm on a spinning ball, maybe upside down on a ball with water flowing around it evenly.
I'm fairly persuaded by Newtonian physics. But I realise that Newtonian physics, where it might have appeared to be completely bonkers to somebody when Newton wrote it, the same applies to Galilean physics. The same applies to Einsteinian physics. Within the realm of cosmology and the development of physics. I mentioned dark matter earlier. Well, there are new physical concepts appearing all the time as our technological advance speeds up and speeds up and speeds up. And some of the new stuff I can't understand. Because I can't understand it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It doesn't, on the other hand, mean that it does exist.
Absolutely. And like they tell us about these gravitational waves.
Yeah.
But again, I'm asking for evidence. We're expected to believe that, and distant planets light years away. Well, how am I expected to believe that?
Until the proofs of Newtonian physics with regards to his theory of gravity,
which is based on gravity, which has never been proven.
Sorry.
Which is based on gravity, the theory of gravity, and that's never been proven.
Yeah, but nothing can be absolutely proven.
At 3 we could prove it exists. We could prove that you and I are talking to each other in the past.
Can we?
We could get probably the whole world to walk past here and ask them, is there 2 entities here sitting talking? And I think the majority, 100%, would say yes. There are.
Okay, so we're back to the basics of our own sensory perception.
Yes.
If it's beyond our sensory perception, we can't prove anything.
Yes, but I don't think you would say this is beyond people's perception that there are 2 entities here talking apart.
No.
I think everybody would agree with that.
No, I said I believe that tree exists.
Well, I would say it's more than a belief. It's a self-evident truth. I can touch it. I can feel it. I can chop it down. I can take the leaves off. Swing on the branches.
So I'm searching for truth too, but my search for truth leaves a lot less space for not accepting Newtonian physics. It's a different level to yours, but actually probably you and I are the most sceptical people we'll meet for quite some time.
I love sceptical people because that means they're not just accepting what they've been told. Now, what if I told you all the pictures you see of Earth from space are not photographs?
I can't prove that they are.
Well, that's very honest. I was led to believe, most people are led to believe that they are photographs. Do you go on YouTube at all?
Yes, I'm on YouTube and I'm active on social media, and
from your background, I'm sure you are.
I know that, for instance, there is still a debate about whether men actually landed on the moon. I'm not going there, to be honest.
Okay, because I don't think it's a debate anymore. But I'm passionate about this subject here, and I think we're all being lied to, and we're all being brainwashed. We're lying to the children. So I'm quite passionate about this.
Well, I think there's a very minute possibility that you might be right.
Yep, okay, right. I think that's great that you're leaving the door slightly open to a possibility where some people are totally brainwashed because they're closed-minded to everything.
Yeah. Well, I do the same with God.
Me too. Exactly the same. I used to call myself an atheist, but then I thought, if I'm being really honest with myself, I have to say I don't know.
I've never really called myself an atheist. I've always called myself an agnostic and a skeptic.
That's what I came round to.
Well, I'm an agnostic and a skeptic with science as much as I am with religion.
Well, so am I. Because at the end of the day, I can't prove he doesn't exist. So
No.
I have to say I don't know, but erring on, of course he does exist. But
No.
I have to say, well, I don't know.
No.
And where do I live? I don't know, because there's no real photographs of Earth from space.
Yeah.
Because if you go on YouTube and you listen to Robert Simmons, who creates the blue marble shot every year, he states that they're not photographs. They're
Well,
photographs.
I know I've been to Edinburgh though, and I've been in the Antipodes in New Zealand and Australia, and I've witnessed the sun and the stars from the southern hemisphere, and it all fits in with the theory of the universe as described by the scientists, and it fits in with the program, and that's exactly what astronomers were trying to do in the ancient world.
That's not a word you use there, program. Yeah, but it all fits in with the flat Earth model as well.
Okay,
And you can circumnavigate the Earth on a flat surface.
I have some evidence to suggest that the Earth is not flat, which is again the back to my basic point.
Which is that, sorry?
But I can't physically prove it because it's not within the field of my senses. But the field of my senses have witnessed with my own eyes the stars of the southern hemisphere.
But some people say the stars are a lot smaller than we're told they are, so therefore you're not going to see them all in different parts of the world, northern and southern hemisphere. The sun and the moon are very small and a lot closer.
I'm quite prepared to believe that all of them are quite big when you get close up.
I don't know if you've seen them through a P900. You can zoom in on the stars, and they're completely different to what you see with the naked eye.
Yeah.
It's like a liquid matter changing shape.
But I also do know that I travel. You know, I can go from here to where my mum used to live, and it's half a mile. Okay, so I also know that I've travelled a lot further than that, although I could have been lied to about the planes, and you could say that this, that, the next thing. But I've been a few thousand miles in my life around this ball of dirt, and I'm expecting. I don't worry particularly that the stars are not big. I'm quite convinced that they are actually very, very, very big, like ours, that's sinking over there. Which reminds me, I must check my time for going for dinner.
Do you know nobody's ever circumnavigated the world between north and south?
Well, you couldn't.
Why not?
Because Antarctica's in the way.
But on a plane?
On a plane? I'm surprised that nobody's ever bothered doing it.
Well, you think Richard Branson or somebody would do it, wouldn't you, with all that money and adventure spirit?
Sure, somebody will.
Well, it's taken long enough. It's because I believe it's not a ball, they can't do that. People always circumnavigate between east and west. So.
Sorry?
People always circumnavigate between east and west. And even then, they just go around the continents, they don't go right in a straight line and come back again.
Well, I'm fairly certain that you could actually circumnavigate the Earth north to south in a plane over the poles if you wanted to.
Yeah, but then why is the great adventure spirits not done that?
Well, why did nobody bother sailing from Europe to North America before 1492, with the possible exceptions of Eric the Red?
Maybe not the technology, maybe?
Maybe not the technology, but now we've got the technology to do the flight if they want to.
Yes. But
so the technology improves. Technology improves along with our fund of knowledge.
They could even do it with a drone, showing you 24/7 footage from the drone flying around, but they don't do it.
That's great. I don't know whether the British state exists either.
The British state?
Yes.
Well, now do I.
I'm just about to embark on a project though to prove that it does, and that it's much bigger than people think it is. You know, it's about concepts of sovereignty. It's about where the country starts and where the country stops. It's about where government starts and where government stops.
Where does it stop?
Government.
Yeah.
Well, in the physical sense, 200 miles from the low tide water mark.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's where sovereignty runs out. You have sovereign control over water out under the 200-mile mark under international law.
Ah, right, because I know the Queen owns these wind farms that go out, say...
Yeah, but only out to 200 miles.
Right. Do you know what Hebrew word? I think it's Hebrew. I hope I'm reciting it properly. What government means in Hebrew?
No.
To control the mind.
It doesn't surprise me.
I believe voting is an illusion of choice. Do you vote?
I do.
All right. And do you think? Actually, I was doing sociology about what was on the political agenda at the end of the 1800s. Poverty, unemployment, funding wars, housing, education. Now we come 120 years later, nothing's changed. And all that time people spend in politics and voting for this over this other party, and nothing substantially changes.
Yeah, well, things do change though.
For the better, for the people.
Yeah. When I was born, we didn't have a Scottish Parliament. We now have a Scottish Parliament. I think it's made people's lives better.
Is it?
Yeah.
What way did you say?
Because I think decisions are better when they're made closer to you, and decisions are made closer to you and closer to me, so that I have more control over them in exercise of my personal sovereignty.
But how do I know that the Scottish Government are making those decisions and it's not, say, like the EU or Parliament?
I can't prove it.
No. So for me, it could just be another extension of.
No, but I can tell you that it did change. I watched the building being built.
Yeah.
I can go there. I can show you it with eyes and ears and senses. I was in the negotiations in the Scottish Constitutional Convention.
Do you mind me asking who you voted for, or is that personal?
I used to be the chief executive of the Scottish Liberal Democrats and was once a special advisor to the Scottish Government ministers. I'm no longer a member of the Liberal Democrats. I now describe myself as a recovering politician.
Okay.
But I'm still Scottish and I'm still a Liberal.
Right. So what do you think of someone like me saying that I'm disillusioned with all that, and I don't think, I think it's actually an illusion of choice, that they're fundamentally same on huge issues? I can understand what you're thinking about, and I can understand why people have become tired and jaded with our democracy. That's why I still want to change things, to try and regain a democracy in which people have confidence. And do you believe it is an actual democracy? Well, there are ways which I would go about describing our country as corporatist oligarchy, which blinds people into thinking it's democracy, mainly through the use of the fantasy of monarchy. Well, I was going to bring that up. I think it's preposterous to think we're in a democratic state when the monarchy has such an influence on social policy and they're unelected. I think it's nonsense in the modern world to have somebody who's chosen for genetic reasons to be the head of state. It's completely bonkers. And they have a lot more influence, like the Queen's assent. Queen's assent is just been reading about Prince Charles's communications with the Scottish Government, having been letters. They're not going to publish them. I think it's a disgrace. That's another thing we changed, though. I helped bring in the Freedom of Information Act in Scotland, which is now being contested. Why? It's being contested by the Scottish Government. They're saying we're not releasing the letters, and they're going to be taken to the Freedom of Information Commissioner, and then they'll go to the court, and we'll see what the court does. I believe in the rule of law, or I accept the rule of law. Are you knowledgeable on common law? I've got a degree in law. Oh, right. So did part of that degree in law cover common law? Yeah. Have you heard of the free man movement? I haven't. It's where people are trying to regain their human rights, the God-given rights under common law. Well, I think that the rights are human rights rather than God-given, and I know where the concept came from, and I know its history, and I happen to think it's a very good basis for actually putting our world together and helping it not blow itself up. And I can go down that life. I also think that there's a time to stop giving corporate entities human rights. Do you think the politicians are the ones in charge? Do you think they're the ones making decisions? No. Rupert Murdoch's in charge. I think we could probably prove that there's a small number of corporate billionaires who had much more say over Brexit in this country than the politicians did. Well, like Rothschild said, who controls the money? The bankers surely control I firmly believe that the bankers dictate to the politicians what to do, not the other way around.
I'm more and more concerned that corporate power has accumulated and grown, that power and wealth are being, as they always tend to be, accumulated, and as a liberal I automatically look aghast and askance at that accumulation of power and wealth and make sure that we try and diminish it. I don't claim to be a libertarian.
Right.
I'm not a libertarian, I'm a liberal.
Right.
I think that libertarians can get batty, and that's a danger.
Yeah.
If you start making arguments which have logic and reason on their side, they can still be batty. How do you guarantee freedom of speech to a Nazi in America at the present moment? Logically, you can have a legal argument one way about his freedom to express himself and his right. Yeah. Logically, you can also say that because he's trying to suppress other people's rights, that you're quite happy to let him think about it, but you're not allowing him to wave a banner because that's legally incitement.
Why can't we have the freedom to offend someone?
I think you should be able to offend people, but I don't think you should be able to incite people to use violence against other people.
Yeah, fair enough. But surely you should be able to...
There should be borders under the rule of law.
I think under common law, where you do no harm to another, no loss, theft or harm, I think a very good basis of...
Well, as somebody who's got a degree in Scots law, I tend to prefer the Scottish underlying system of law, which says that these things are based on principles, and that those legal principles should actually be part of how courts take decisions. And I'm not in favour of the Anglo-Norman system of common law, where principle is treated as something which, you don't want to put principles, so you don't put principles into legislation at Westminster. One of the things that I'm very glad to say is that in the Scottish Parliament we've been more prepared to put in principles such as the principle of sustainable development.
Yeah, you need somebody to be accountable for all that.
Yes, that's right, and the only people who can be hold them accountable finally are the courts.
Hey, can I ask you if it's okay to upload this to my YouTube channel?
It's perfectly uploaded. I'm not afraid of anything that I'm saying.
And could I ask you to go and watch one video and just to...
If you can give me a note of where to watch it.
Yes, yeah. Do you have a pen?
I don't know whether it works. No, it's working temporarily.
Okay. It's called 200 Proofs.
200 Proofs.
Why the Earth is not a spinning ball.
Why the Earth is it's a video on YouTube.
Yes, by Eric Dubay.
Eric.
D-U-B-A-Y. D-U-B-A-Y. U-B-A-Y. And you only have to put 200 Proofs on YouTube and it will come up.
Okay.
But I think that would get your critical thinking going and realise perhaps we've not been told the truth of where we are. But
I'll have a look.